Hi, Sarah. Morning. Thank you so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hi, morning. I'm good.
Good. So, we're taking just a few minutes today to talk about your experience in the coaching program that you've been part of over the last couple of months. And for you to tell us a little bit about, what your journey was like. But before we dive in and to talk about the coaching program, I would love for you to tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do.
My name is Sarah Cabral. I manage Lima Company Limited. It's a multifaceted organization where we have manufacturing, wholesale, retail, and pawnbroking. I'm managing the organization on the whole. I think what I love about what I do, I love working around people. I love being in a big organization. I love waking up every day and being part of something that's bigger and meaningful to them more than it's meaningful to me. But I love the camaraderie of my organization. It's more of a family to own a company. So as you could imagine, a lot of people have been there for a long time. So I think I love the people of my organization.
Yeah, lovely. And I know that this is a family business in more words than one. Like you said, it's the people, you have many people that have been there for a very long period of time, but this is actually a family business as well,
Yeah.
owned and run by your own family. So tell us a little bit about when you joined this coaching program. What was it that brought you to this coaching program? Why did you join? What were you struggling with? What were you thinking about? What were you looking for when you chose to join a program like this?
I think that it was more like when I joined, the hope was for me to find skills and tools to be a better leader, to enhance my leadership skills by learning from other people. When I started it, I had hopes to become a better leader by kind of bouncing off other people and finding tools to become a better leader.
Yeah. So I know you had a big goal around growing and strengthening your own leadership skill set and your leadership confidence and your leadership presence, your leadership voice and your leadership style. All of that was wrapped into your goal. Tell us, what do you feel has been your biggest success or the thing that you've been most proud of over the last few months that we've been together?
I had many goals, but one of my goals is really to enhance my meetings, to have more meaningful meetings. And I think I've learned a lot of tools, a lot of topics of conversations that I should have to really make my meeting meaningful. Not just meetings where we talk about what needs to be said, but actually we achieve something from the meeting. Each meeting is a follow-up of the last, and there's really a flow from the meetings and organizations of ideas, the entire organization. I think that was the biggest breakthrough for me. Of course, yes, along the way, there was different wins that I achieved, but I really feel that the biggest thing for me was really making my meetings more meaningful.
Yeah, no, I love that you bring that up because when we think of leadership, most often we don't think of meetings and leadership going hand in hand, or many people may not think about that. They think of leadership very much at the helm of the organization, setting vision, mission, and direction. But leadership is also through leading through day-to-day interventions as well. And meetings is a very frequent intervention that we have in our organizations. And it's when people come together. And I always say meetings, when done really well, are also about influencing the culture. And you create your culture through the meetings that you have, because that's when people gather. And leadership is about shaping culture as well, leading through others and leading through culture. And meetings are the moment where we bring people together and where we start to shape culture. So I love that you bring up that meetings was a big focus of your leadership skill set journey. So you had this leadership goal, but I don't think you would necessarily come to this program saying, hey, I want to strengthen my leadership skills by working on my meetings, right? It was the mechanism in that you found as a way of working on your own leadership style and voice by being able to lead those meetings, right?
I learned a lot of what I should say within the meeting, how I should program my meetings, how many meetings I should have, the type of things that I should cover within a meeting that will make me more influential rather than just a meeting that's like, you should do this or you should do that. I think that was a big breakthrough for me, that a meeting is multifaceted and you could use a meeting to your benefit, but there's so many things to achieve within a meeting that will make your meeting more meaningful and really enhance your influence. My meetings is now, every conversation has its place, and that's where we have our conversation. I think my meetings are now my real tool of influencing others. is through my meetings, and through this program made that even more important and even more recognized by others, that if you want to have this conversation, if we need to achieve something, we're going to do it within our meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I do want to say is you just made the point about there are different ways that you could show up in your meeting. You could bring people together and you could just be like, this is all we're going to do, instead of just roll things out and be very autocratic. You can bring people together in a way where it's much more engaging and where we're having conversations about inquiring and getting people to share their own ideas about what we should do. And so you can make your meeting a different type of meeting as opposed to one where people just come and receive instructions. That's the difference between using your meetings as interventions to shape the kind of culture that you want. If you want a culture in an organization that encourages inclusivity, then you have to have meetings that allow people to share their opinion. For example, this is about showing up as a leader who believes in inclusivity and role models inclusivity. You do that by running a meeting in a certain way that encourages engagement and sharing of ideas and equal space for people to contribute and show up. So when you start to make the connection between those things, between the type of culture that you want, the type of leader you want to be, then that really starts to tell you, well, how do I run and shape this meeting? I love the connection that you're bringing up between all of those different pieces. I know for you over the course of the month, there's been a lot of personal shifts and changes. You've done a lot in the organization in terms of the tactical side of things, like putting in meetings and lots of different goals and milestones and outcomes that you had along the way. But tell me a little bit about one or two personal changes or shifts that have happened for you as a result of this program. What are some of the personal changes or beliefs that maybe have shifted for you as a result of this program?
I think one big thing for me was, as a leader, we're expected to have all the solutions, all the ideas, all the answers for everybody in the organization. And there's not many people that you can bounce off ideas for your own personal development. This program really showed me the importance of working on myself and ourselves being leaders, because there's a lot of expectations on us, whereas we don't really put time into personal development, into becoming a better person, so with working on the organization, making it become a better organization. Whereas for me, I think this program really showed me, okay, sometimes I need to think of how to better me so that I can better the organization. And that was a big thing that we spoke on a lot of programs, of becoming the best you so that you can be better for others. And I think that this program really drove that home for me, to make me think of, okay, what moving forward and what can I do to develop me so that I can develop the organization, because leadership is a constant learning curve. And I think I had a lot more learning to do. And I think programs like these really have drive that home for me and made me realize that. And I think another thing too was the power of people and learning how much you can learn from other people. And of course, this program is surrounding around that, in terms of us bouncing ideas off of each other and learning from each other. And I think that that was a big breakthrough for me, almost, that, sometimes instead of just trying to figure out every idea yourself, you can join groups, you can talk to people, you can bounce ideas off of others, because we're all trying to be a good leader or trying to do the same thing. And that was a big breakthrough for me. And then, of course, a big thing for me too was the confidence around leadership. I never really thought of that I need to become more confident in myself to be a better leader. Because when you think of leader, you think of somebody who's influential because of their personality, whereas you don't think of all the other facets that you need to have and you need to think about to be a better leader. And I think that this entire program made me think of my own self-development and developing myself to become a better leader. And thinking about, as we said, becoming a better me so that I can be better to them or be better to others and be better to the organization was a big thing for me. And then, of course, bouncing ideas off other people and programs like this that actually give us ideas, because we're giving other people ideas all day long.
Yeah, you've spoken about so many things in there. In the context of organizations and driving organizational change and leadership, we often talk about working in the business and on the business. And I know that's something that we've talked about as well. And I remember the day that we had a conversation about it's not just working in the business or on the business, but in essence, it's also working in and on ourselves, right?
Yeah.
in and on ourselves, then we are able to do so much more. And this is always such a challenge for us as women. It's about taking the time to work on ourselves, in our own beliefs and on our own skills and things like that. We always put that last behind working in and on everything else, whether that's our family or our business or all of those things. And we don't see that ourselves are at the center of that. And so we have to work at the thing that's at the core and the center of that to be able to influence all the other things on the outside. But you also touched on the importance of community and coming together with like-minded women who are in the same space and the wisdom that comes from community. You bring up a big point that is so relevant in the world of leadership, that leadership can be very lonely. Like you said, feeling like you have to have all the answers, not knowing who can I turn to, where can I find and source inspiration and wisdom. And it's not necessarily, I see inspiration and wisdom as something very different to advice, because advice is like telling you what to do. Inspiration and wisdom is more of taking it in, but it's still having the agency of your own choice about what is relevant, because you know more about your own organization. So where do you find that inspiration and wisdom without it coming across as direct advice, like being told you need to do this? And I love that you bring up as an underlying theme in everything is your own personal confidence, because your own personal confidence is at the source behind your own leadership journey. And how often does anybody even think about, how do I work on my own confidence and how do I grow that? And what does that really mean practically? Knowing what your strengths are and being able to play into those gives you a sense of confidence and a confidence to show up in different ways. And I love that you bring that up, because we don't often think about that as so integral to all aspects of our life and needing to work on it. Tell me, what do you think for you has been the biggest breakthrough that you've had in this program, and what do you attribute that to? What's been the biggest breakthrough that you've had, and what do you attribute it to?
I think the biggest breakthrough would probably be learning my leadership strength. My strength is basically that I'm very fair. I think that will trickle back to, as I said, what makes me happy in my organization is the people, and then my type of leadership skill, where I want to have open, honest leadership through transparency, through meetings. And I think that that all ties back to the fairness that I have. I want everybody to be involved. And I think that through our strengths assessment, I realized, okay, this is where I'm strong at, this is what I'm going to capitalize. And of course, we spoke a lot about capitalizing on our strengths. But we also spoke about really taking our strengths and working on them and saying, okay, this is what works for me, this is what I'm going to do, this is how I'm going to lead. And I think I always think back to that strength assessment and in my daily life, think, okay, I'm doing this because I want everybody to be included. And I'm doing this because I want to be fair. And I think that knowing my strength really made me have the desire to work more on it. And I think that was a big breakthrough for me. And then, of course, in the program, in the calls and our sessions, we spoke a lot about defining what's at the heart of your goal. We spoke a lot in this program about what's the why. And I think for anybody doing any task, you need to first answer the why. Knowing my why and answering my why, so I know what I'm doing and why. And I think that was really a big breakthrough for me. Separate and apart from the meetings and the very organizational centric things, I think that my biggest breakthrough was obviously personal and being able to better define the type of leader that I am, the type of leader I want to be, and why I want to be that leader was a big breakthrough.
Yeah, I love how you just said we often focus on the why last instead of first. As we've discovered in this program, and we talk so much about in this program, that why is the fuel for everything. And then I think that why gets like turbo boost fuel when you connect that with your strength as well. That discovery of what your strengths were, as being able to see that powerful connection between why you want this and the strength within you and how you're able to drive that, how those things come together, supercharges everything. I love that you bring that up. Thank you for sharing that. Tell us a little bit about, who do you think is the type of woman who would benefit from this program? And if she was thinking of doing something like this, what would you see?
I would say that I think that the program is definitely not what you would expect. And you're going to learn so much more than you would expect. I would say that get excited to learn a lot more than you would expect to learn. I would think that people look into the program and maybe think, like I did, that I just want to be a better leader and I'm going to get a toolkit to be a better leader. But you're going to learn so much more about yourself and different things that make up being your best self to show up better. And I think that the person that I would say that would benefit most is probably somebody like me that started the program a little bit more confused and wants some more clarity on what they're doing and how to organize their ideas and their thoughts to really achieve a big goal. Let's say somebody who's confused but wants to learn and wants to get more clarity on their thoughts to achieve a bigger goal. Because at the end of the day, we're all trying to achieve goals. The goal setting part is great. So if you have a goal and you're kind of confused about how to achieve this goal, this program really helps break it down into different milestones, talks you through how best to achieve your goal. I think a young person like myself who is kind of confused about a goal that they want to achieve, but they just need a little direction of how to organize their thoughts to achieve this goal.
I always see people come to this program sometimes with very professional goals, like you did in terms of leadership and leading your organization. But people also come with personal goals as well. And the goals, they are important because they are the thing that we are working towards. And what they do is they create the drive for us to go forward and achieve something. The goal itself, whether it's personal or professional or health or even in parenting or organization or leadership, it could be anything. It just provides the space in which to learn and grow. It gives the clarity, but the clarity is the direction in which to couple and marry the space for growth and learning, which is what you're talking about. So while I said I love goals and we start this program with goals, getting clarity on that goal, but the goal itself is both important and unimportant in the same breath, because it is any goal will suffice as long as we're working towards something for us to have that space for growth. And when we have that space for growth, we find that our goals, whatever goals they are, become easier to achieve because we have the momentum and the catalyst and we understand what goes into achieving goals, the growth that goes along with goals. So I love that you bring it out. But so Sarah, I want to say thank you very much for your time today. But before we leave, I just want to ask, is there anything else you'd like to say? Anything else you want to tell me or you want to tell anyone who might be watching?
I think I kind of touched a lot on it in terms of I just think that this program will surpass anybody's expectations. And you have a goal, but you learn so much while trying to achieve this goal that makes the goal unimportant in some ways, because it is the tool that we use to really surround this tool and learn so much about yourself, just using the goal as the end game. But also, I think that another thing is there's no end game. Don't expect to leave this program with achieving this huge goal and ticking it off, but expect to leave learning so much about yourself. And working on your goal or your goals is a constant work in progress. I think that that's something that people can keep in mind. Of course, when it starts, you think you're going to get a whole toolbox on how to be a better leader, but you have to understand and know that it's a work in progress.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I really want to appreciate, Sarah, before we say goodbye, I want to really appreciate the self-awareness that you have brought to this program. You have an incredible self-awareness and an introspection within yourself. And through that comes so much wisdom that you've been able to share with the rest of the group and to completely inspire the rest of the group. And just as a little aside, I'll just let you know, but I just finished interview with Sam. And in that, she was talking so much about you and the inspiration and the wisdom that you have shared with her. I just want you to know that just as we have seen week after week, and as you've talked about being with other women, while you receive and enjoy and so much of their wisdom that you take away to use for yourself is the same way that you contribute in that. And I love that about this program, because so often as women, we look at others and we're like, oh, all those ideas and wisdom, and you think that you just want to take all that in, but you bring that for other people as well. And we don't often see how much we bring forth for others in ourselves. We just think about all of those self-doubts and imposter syndrome that we feel as women, but the wisdom and inspiration that we bring for each other is very real. I just want you to know that I truly appreciate all that you've brought to the program in terms of your own self-awareness and your incredible, graceful humility that comes with your confidence. And I love that in you. So thank you very much for showing up that way.